The West Ham Massive are pleased to support Iron Supporting Food Banks. They are a group of West Ham fans and friends inspired by the work of other football food banks around the country. They collect food and cash donations for a Newham food bank in Beckton, who supplies sub-distribution centres in the borough 7 days a week and hand out several hundred 3-day emergency food packs every month to families in need. They are also working with other groups to improve conditions for vulnerable adults and children in the Newham community. You can help by making a donation to their Just Giving page. You will find the link to this in the description section of the video details in this stream. Thanks for your support. Come on, you Irons. Good afternoon, welcome to the West Ham Massive. I thought I'd do a little bit of a broadcast this afternoon. Why not? When you stop and think about it, the transfer window's not that far away. So that was the reason why I thought I'd do this little broadcast. And I want to specifically talk about strikers, because I think that this is something. And look, I'm not going to talk too much about last night and the sort of like the pros and the cons of the strikers that took to the field, or were they strikers? That's another matter. But anyway, we'll get into that. But as always, guys, please don't forget to like, comment on, and share this stream to your social media platforms, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And don't forget to hit the bell icon for alerts of new content. As always, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you very much indeed for your support in this particular endeavor. So let's get down to it, right? Okay, so couple of stories I want to share with you guys. This is not stuff that I'm, because I know that sort of like people turn around and say, you're making shit up. Look, this is an article that I've read, okay? And I'll share it with you. So hang on a minute. By the wonders of the internet, that you've obviously seen the thumbnail. I'm guessing you have. And it was at the beginning of the video. And if you haven't, there it is. There you go. Pie Sports, Transfer Talk. There's Jim White. There's David Moyes. And you've got three, I wouldn't say strikers. The guy in the middle is not a striker. He's more a winger, right? And he's the one that I really don't know too much about. The other two, I'm a little bit more clued up on. And I'm hoping that a few of you guys are going to give me your opinions on this particular one. So the guy on the left, you might recognize a little bit more readily. And his name is Tammy Abraham. Now, Tammy Abraham, as I'm sure you're well aware, used to ply his trade with Chelsea Football Club. Now, here is one of the stories that I've seen. And so, as I say, I want to get your take on it, and I don't want anybody to come back at me and say that I'm stirring shit, I'm making crap up, whatever. And that's another thing, obviously, just in case there is possibly going to be some adult language. So if it does offend you, move on. Right, that's that bit out of the way. Right, so this is a story from the Fourth Official, and this is via the One Football app. Now, the headline reads, as you can see there, West Ham United are keen on recruiting this Roma striker. What will he add to Moyes' side? And when you go on, you read it, you realise that the striker they're talking about is the AS Roma striker, Tammy Abraham. Now, Tammy Abraham went there about a year, 18 months ago. He won the Europa Conference League with Roma under the tutelage of Jose Mourinho. He's 26 years of age now, London born. He's actually from originally not a million miles away from my old stomping ground. He's a Camberwell boy, so he's not too far from where I was born and brought up. So obviously he's been around sort of like the lower leagues. He's sort of played for Bristol City, Swansea City, and Aston Villa on loan, and scored a decent amount of goals for them. Swansea was probably the exception. He struggled there a little bit. But Bristol City, he scored a fair amount of goals. In the Championship, yes, I get it. But he scored the goals in the Championship. In his career, He's got 36 goals in 107 appearances. Now, right at this moment in time, and this is one thing that you need to bear in mind, is that he is, as it says there, he is currently sidelined due to a cruciate ligament injury, and his deal at Roma will run out in the summer of 2026. Now, it says there, which would make it difficult for the Hammers to sign him next year. I'm not so convinced that's the case. I think what probably makes it more difficult is that you don't know, an ACL injury is quite a serious thing, and you're not quite sure what version of Tammy Abraham is going to be coming out the other side of that injury. I mean, personally, if it wasn't for the ACL injury, I'd actually be all over this. I think he's got all of the tools for me, and he's still not quite. I mean, he's 26, he's approaching his peak, but he's not there yet. You look here, he says some stats for you if anyone's interested. 26-year-old managed to catch the eye by averaging 1.6 shots, 0.9 key passes, 0.6 dribbles per 90 minutes in Serie A. Now, we all know that Serie A is a pretty defensive-minded league, so it's not too shabby stats, it has to be said. But as I say, the problem for me is like I say, what version of Tammy Abraham is going to come out the other side of it? Is he someone that would add something to the team? I think he could. I think that if Tammy Abraham comes out of this injury and he's anywhere near the player he was before it, I think there could be movement there. Look, Michail Antonio's been a great servant for the club, but what's he, 33, 34? Danny Ings, with regret, he's scored goals in the Premier League, but I think he's the other side of the hill and he's on the decline. And it doesn't work as a striker, a lone striker in a 4-2-3-1. He just doesn't. He's like a fish on a bicycle. And I'm not trying to be unkind to Danny Ings. I'm really not. But Tammy Abraham, I think, could operate as a lone striker. He's strong. He's got a decent turn of pace. The question will obviously be how much of that particular weaponry been blunted by the ACL injury. I don't know, and we will find out. The prognosis was that he should be back around the new year. Now, are we going to need a striker in the new year? Possibly. Are we going to need a striker in the summer? I would suggest so. Here's the reason why. We're aware in the last couple of days of the situation with Divine Mubama, so he could be moving on. Yes, you could turn around and say, well, Callum Marshall's the next cab off the rank. Maybe he is. But let's be honest, if David Moyes gets to the summer and he's signed a new contract, David Moyes doesn't have a track record of bringing youth players through. Unless their name is Wayne Rooney, Ross Barkley, or Adnan Januzaj, he just doesn't bring players through from the youth grade teams, and he never really has. And there's a world of difference between bringing a player, because I know what people are going to say. If you want to sort of like use the argument that David Moyes does bring youth players through, which I think there's a very small number of people that would try and use that argument, but I'll entertain it. There's a world of difference between giving someone their debut and playing them in a dead rubber game and giving them 20 games, or maybe not even 20 games, maybe 10 games to prove their worth. And if at the end of the 10 games they've not proved their worth, then okay, you know that they're not quite ready for Premier League football and you move on. But he doesn't even give them that. Probably doesn't even give them half of that. I mean, it's just sort of quite bizarre. But that's David Moyes for you. But Tammy Abraham, what do you think? Tammy Abraham before the injury? I know you can't, as I can't, know what he's going to be like the other side of injury. So that has to be factored in. But in that article, as I say, it said that he's got another, when he gets to the summer, he's got 2 years left on the deal. I would argue that's probably going to be the time that if Roma are going to look to move him on, I'd argue that that's probably the time when they're going to look to do it, when he's got 2 years left on the deal. Because if they let it run another 12 months, then it turns the leverage that they've got, it's gone. And probably the leverage is now with the player more than anything else. But what do you think? Let's have a little look at your comments and see what we're talking about. So Mark's in. Hope you're well, mate. Hope you are good. Now, Rob Singleton, Lautaro Martinez, the Argentinian striker. Well, we might discuss him on another broadcast. At the minute, as I say, I've selected 3 strikers that I wanted to, or not strikers. Like I say, one's a winger, but I've selected stories that are actually out there in the public domain, or at least have been in the case of one of them. As I say, I'm showing you guys the story so you know that this is not just me making crap up just for the sake of a YouTube video. This is actually a story that I have read linking Tammy Abraham to West Ham United. It might be a tentative link, but there is a link. And obviously there was a link back before he went to Roma. There was some noises about him possibly being a striker of interest to David Moyes. Obviously it didn't happen. I actually think he's gone to Roma. He's done a good job there. I mean, just sort of looking at the stats here, and this is on the website Transfer Market. He is in Serie A. This last season he was at 38 matches, 8 goals, 4 assists. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it was 2,193 minutes that he played. So he wasn't necessarily starting every single game. And as I say, in Serie A, that's not too shabby a total. If you also factor in the Europa League, he also scored 1 goal, 2 assists, 14 appearances though. Italian Cup, 2 appearances, 1 assist. Last season maybe wasn't so good, but as I say, last season it was his second season. Your second season usually tends to be a bit sort of, because teams have worked you out. It's a bit like when teams get promoted from the Premier League, from the Championship to the Premier League. If they survive that first season, usually you'll find it's actually the second season that's really the one that stuffs them up. His first season in Serie A, though, was really good. 37 appearances, 17 goals, 4 assists over 3,097 minutes. And obviously in that season in the Europa Conference League, they took home the trophy. So what do you think? I mean, like I say, he's 26 years of age right now, and 2 years left in the summer. Is he a viable option? I think he could be. Like I say, it all hinges on the injury, though, whether he's going to sort of come through that. Tony, hope you're well. He goes, Ivan Tony. Well, I think the chances of him just no. As I say, I appreciate that you're throwing names at me of strikers that you think we should be going for, and that's fine. I'm just focusing on a couple of stories that are out there at the minute. Victor Osimhen, again, very good player. I don't think he's coming anywhere out near us. Here's a little thing for you. Here's a little thing for you to consider, guys. If you were a striker at another club, whether it's in the Premier League, Championship, or any of the foreign countries, and you knew obviously what David Moyes has done to strikers, would you sign for David Moyes? I think I'd avoid him like the plague, and I think therein lies the problem. Kent, hope you are well. He says Marcus Thuram, Gift Orban, Tony Broja, and he's also coming back from an ACL. He is. This is the thing. I mean, you've got players that are coming back from injuries, and it is very difficult. You know, look, a hamstring injury, a calf injury, whatever, that's not a biggie. ACL injury is quite a big injury. I mean, once upon a time, it was a career ender. So what version of Tammy Abraham, or indeed Armando Broja, who you've referenced there, Kent, what version's going to come out the other side? It remains to be seen. Rob Singleton says Ila Wahi. He's only 20. You did say other names in the chat. Yes, I did. Excuse me. You are correct. You are correct. As I say, I'm only going to focus on the stories that I've talked about. If you want to sort of throw names in there, you're very welcome to do. I do apologize, Rob. You did indeed. I did indeed. You're correct. Abraham on loan only. Now that's an interesting one. Could there be a deal there? Maybe a year loan with an option to buy. I mean, I don't know whether Tammy Abraham's even happy in Italy or not. And if he's not happy, then maybe it might be that there's a deal there to be structured. Obviously, you'd have to take into account the fact that he's coming back from an ACL injury. And but yeah, I'm sure you could structure a deal. I'm sure that that's something could be done there. Money does talk, and as we all know, Rob, money talks, bullshit Wolves. So, but yeah, Tammy Abraham. So obviously there is a vote on the YouTube channel. If you're not watching this on YouTube, if you're watching this on Facebook, if you're watching this on Twitter, please pop across to the YouTube channel. Don't forget to drop a like on the stream whilst you're there. And there is a vote, there is a poll that's running on this particular subject. So let's get on to the next one. Now, this isn't a striker. He's a forward. Now, I've not heard of this guy. Again, I'm just going to get the story up for you guys so that you can sort of reference it at a later stage if you should so wish, and that you basically know that I'm not telling any bullshit. But this is the story. It's from Football League World, and it makes the headline reads: Leeds United must push to beat Rangers and West Ham to ace, especially if Somerville leaves. So basically, the nuts and the bolts of the story is Crescencio Somerville may well be off, and Premier League clubs are potentially interested. And it's saying that Leeds United should be going for a player by the name of John Arias. I don't know if that's pronounced correctly, but we'll go with John Arias or Aria, whatever. Now, he is currently playing for the Brazilian Giants Fluminense. He's a Colombian international. And just looking here, I believe, last I looked, he has 10 caps. Yes, he does. He has 10 caps for his national team. So John Arias, he's not a striker. He's a forward. He has played at centre forward, but not sort of like, that's not really his default position. Really, he's a wide player, either a winger or right or left midfield. He's capable of playing on either flank. He is right-footed predominantly, but he is 26 years of age, and as I say, he's attracting a little bit of attention. He's someone that Leeds United are looking at. And if we just scroll down here, just where the sort of connection to West Ham comes in, it says here about Leeds looking at this guy, but it makes the comment there. They face competition from the likes of Rangers, West Ham United, Wolves, and Crystal Palace, according to the report. So it will not be no easy feat of getting his signature on a contract with the White's name on it, blah, blah, blah. So that's where the connection comes into our very own West Ham United. So is he someone? I mean, personally, I've never heard of this guy. I've never heard of him. How you doing, Rani? Hope you are well. Kent's already told me who he's picked, so we'll get into this one in a minute, Kent. We'll just stick with this fella, John Arias. I don't think we're really going to labour the point, because I would lay money that none of you guys probably heard of him in all likelihood, any more than I have. I've never heard of this guy until I saw that story there. But it seems to suggest that we're in the market. We're possibly sniffing around. And to be fair, do we need someone to play on the sort of like a left wing, left midfield role? I would say yeah, because with regret, I don't think that it's really, I think the time at the club of Saeed Benrahma and Pablo Fornals is winding to a close with regret. I also don't think that, I know that Lucas Paquetá has played there this season, and he's not really a left winger. He's sort of like his starting position is on the left, and he'll cut inside. But I think that that's not really a position that I don't think is one that he should be playing. I think he should be roaming. I think he should be a proper 10 and sort of go where the damage is, or where he can cause the most damage. Excuse me. So John Arias, as I say, I've never heard of him until today. I saw that article today, and I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Like I say, wide player, maybe of interest, but I mean, he's 26 years of age. I think it's a risk. I think it's a hell of a risk bringing a player in who's never played. And just looking here on his Wikipedia page, he's never played outside of the Americas. He's played in Colombia, he's played in Brazil, so he's he's never been outside of sort of South America. And I think at 26 years of age, for you to come into the Premier League, the sort of like the toughest league in Europe, I think it would be a stretch. If Leeds are looking at him, fine, whatever. I'm not really too fussed about what Leeds get up to, but the fact that we've been linked with him, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe there's something in it. As I say, this is the story that was on the was it Caught Offside? Who was it that had that story? Oh, hang on, just looking again. It was Football League World, as I say. So yeah, I'm not too sure this would be one that really sort of gets me sort of too excited. That one I'm a bit sort of not for me. But yeah, Luke, hope you're well, mate. Transfer Tom Bowler. Chelsea have a buyback on Abraham. They do, from what I understand, but whether they exercise it is another matter. It might well be that they sort of look at it and go, ACL, damaged goods, don't want to know. I don't know whether financial fair play might preclude them. So having a buyback is an option, but it is only an option. So I don't know. Rani comes in, says, Harvey Barnes or Anthony Gordon would have been perfect. If we can uncover someone in that mould, it would make a huge difference. Yeah, young English player. And I think Tony is concurring. Kent comes in, says, Jaden Philogene, please, and move Bowen or Kudus up top. Class at Hull, England under 21 player. Get him for 20 million. I can see this one. Okay, I'll have to look a little bit more into that one, Kent. That striker from Italy who scored against England the other week, he looks good. I'm trying to think who you might mean, Tony. The name escapes me for now. Okay, now this next one isn't so much a story that I've seen on the internet, but this is a guy that has been linked with us, and personally, this is the player that I would be looking to go for, and his name's Jonathan David. Now, Jonathan David is currently plying his trade in Ligue 1 for Lille. Now, he is 23 years of age. So of the players that we've run the rule over, the first two were 26. This guy's 23. So this guy's the youngest of the three. So he is still approaching, he's still miles off of his peak. Let's have it right. Now, he's a Canadian international. He's got 43 caps for Canada. Now, okay, you could turn around and say that his goals record, it's got to be coming against lots of other teams from that part of the world who maybe aren't up to much in sort of defensive sort of capabilities. And I would accept that argument. However, I think anybody that can score 25 international goals in 43 full international caps is got to be doing something right. Now, if we then turn to his record with various clubs down the years, I'm just looking here. He's played for two clubs in Europe, Ghent and Lille. Now, for Ghent, his total stats are 83 matches, 37 goals, 15 assists. He went to Lille, 2 years ago? Just double check before I... he went to Lille 3 years ago, excuse me. He went in 2020. And in that time for Lille, he has got 151 appearances, 62 goals, and 11 assists. Now, I know what people are going to turn around and say. The Belgian league and the French leagues are not the most competitive. They're not the most robust. And that is something that I would concede that point on. But how many players have come from the French leagues and been a success in the Premier League? There are many. So just because the league in and of itself isn't maybe up to the same standard as Premier League, isn't up to the same robustness and all the rest of it, I don't accept that he couldn't come in and not do a job. Now, he has been linked with the club on a number of occasions, and I think that it may well be getting to the point where we really need to look at this guy as a viable option for the striker berth. Now, according to this, his contract expires in the summer of 2025. So basically, when we get to the summer, unless something happens in the meantime, he has 12 months left. Now, that for me is prime territory for David Moyes, Tim Stuyton, whoever, to go in and make a bid for this kid. Just looking at some of there's a scouting report that I've got here, and it sort of breaks down his strengths and some of his weaknesses. And, he's still in his formative years, 23. He's still got a lot of development to come. Some of the things it says here on this scouting report that I'm looking at, he is comfortable of taking shots with either foot. His weaker foot is his left, but on this particular article here, it says that this particular season that they're talking about, of Jonathan David's 95 shots in League One so far in this season they're referring to, 30 of them, so 31.5%, have come with his weaker left foot. So he is someone that can let fly. He's not totally one-footed player. He is someone that has good link-up play, and he's someone that's quite quick over the ground. So someone that we could really be looking at as someone to sort of replace Antonio in the short, maybe even the long term. So, but what do you think? Jonathan David for me is the pick out of those three. No ifs, no buts. I'm just going to sort of go back to the comments and see what a few of you guys are saying. Mark says he did, Tony, and he scored 2 more at the weekend. Yeah, what was his name? Can't remember. And even Rani's not too sure what his name was. He must have not big as Antonio. No, he's 5'9", but rapid and a real goal scorer. As I say, you look at his record in sort of like in his career, and I'm talking, if you're looking at all of the goals, all of the leagues, all of the competitions that he's played in, and I'm just loading it up again now, and this is according to Transfer Market, so you can go and check these stats if you don't want to sort of take it on board. But he's played 234 career matches in everything. This is 99 goals, 26 assists. He knows how to put the ball in the back of the net. Now, he's quite adaptable as well. He can play as a centre forward. He can play as a second striker. He can play as an attacking midfielder. He can play on the right wing. He can play on the left wing. Now, we know that David Moyes likes a little bit of versatility in his strikers. We know that, depending upon the opposition, he might sort of tailor a position, a player to play in a certain role. And this is something that Jonathan David is very adaptable. And as I say, at 23 years of age, he's someone that's still learning. So I think he'd be a good choice. Jonathan David, a good young player. If Stuyton likes him, then yes. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Kent comes in, says Gift Orban has been linked to be David's replacement. Okay, so, and as I say, he's only got a year left on his deal as and when we get to the summer. I mean, could we even make a move for him in the January transfer window, I wonder? Because we've got a 33-year-old striker who, okay, in the last year, 18 months, his fitness has been pretty good. Before that, let's remember, he was getting hamstring injuries quite regularly. And who's to say that might not start flaring up at some point? I mean, I'm touching wood, hopefully not. But then we'd have to rely upon Danny Ings, who doesn't work well as a lone striker. So then what are we doing? Are we then having a change formation? I wouldn't be averse to that, but I don't think that David Moyes would be terribly happy with that. And like I say, I've got no faith that he's going to promote any of the youth team strikers. I don't think he's going to promote Mabama. I think that the fact that and I didn't want to talk about sort of like the Arsenal game yesterday, but I'm just going to sort of make this point. I think the fact that Mabama wasn't even involved on the bench might be quite telling. I'm not aware that he was injured, but there you go. Riley comes in. Our trouble is we've signed plenty of strikers that look like they should be good, but we just can't seem to get the best out of any of them. And as I said earlier, if you was a striker, if you was Jonathan David, if you was John Arias, if you was Tammy Abraham, or you was an other, and you knew that David Moyes had this questionable track record with strikers, would you sign for us? I'm not too sure I would. I think I'd be looking to keep well away. But anyway, I am going to go back to the poll and I'm going to end it now. So we've got a tie, ladies and gentlemen. It appears that Tammy Abraham and Jonathan David have split the vote, 40% each, with 0 voting for John Arias. I'm guessing probably because, the same as me, none of you had a fucking clue who he was. And 20% of you have gone with another, which have been names that have been put in the chat, which I've obviously gone through already. Just before I knock it on the head, Rob says, would need some homegrown players for our European adventures. We would, but I feel a bit sorry for him. I mean, let's be honest, it'd be a bit like Connor Coventry. Connor Coventry knows he's got no future at the club. I'm pretty sure so does Ben Johnson, and they both know why they're not being let go. Quite sad, I think, really sad. What happened to Marshall? I believe he was injured, Rob. My understanding is that Callum Marshall was injured as far as yesterday was concerned. So that was why he wasn't on the bench. Girassi would be my preference. Ooh, I'll tell you what. No, I'll sit on that. What I might do is I might do another one of these little transfer talk videos. If you've got any sort of topics you want to cover, or transfer targets that you think might be of interest to talk about in another stream at another time, you've got the ticker at the bottom. You've got our social media platforms. You've got our X, you've got our Facebook, you've got our Instagram, and you've got our TikTok. If there's someone that you want us to discuss, if there's a topic that you want us to discuss, please feel free. You can join us, and we would be very, very welcome to host you and talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. But guys, this has been Pie Sports Transfer Talk Live, because I like pies, I got to say. What's your favourite pie? Before we go, completely just because I can, and I like sort of chatting shit. What's your favourite pie? Steak and kidney, chicken and mushroom, chicken balti, perhaps, minced beef and onion? Let us know your favourite pies before I hit the end stream button. And we can sort of have a little bit of just a nonsensical chat about pies, because I quite like pies. Is a shepherd's pie a pie? Because, see, for me, I think that a pie has a crust on the top. So a shepherd's pie or a cottage pie, it's got potatoes. Is it a pie? Not convinced. What we got here, Mr. Singleton, right? Pie and mash, he says. Now, so we're going to have to dig into this one. Are you liquor or are you gravy? Are you knife and fork or are you fork and spoon? Are you chili vinegar or are you not? Are you? Well, tell me your pie and mash experience. I'm very interested. This is a topic that I like to get involved in. Mark says humble pie. Well, maybe Declan Rice had to eat a little bit of that yesterday. Oh, sorry, Dec. Pie eyes. Okay, Luke, fair enough. Mark says steak and kidney without the kidney. So steak pie then, I'm guessing. Just a steak pie. Bog standard steak pie. I'm waiting for Mr. Singleton to come back at me and tell me, is he pie, mash and liquor or is he gravy? I got a funny feeling he's liquor. I got a funny feeling he's a liquor kind of guy. Is he going to let me know before I knock it on the head? Maybe he's gone to the toilet or something. We'll never know. Right. Okay. I am going to disappear now. But lady, oh, hang on. Is that him coming in? Oh, hang on. No, Kent's coming. Hang on. Here we go. G. Kelly's or Maureen's on a match day. Both very good choices, Kent. I've got to tell you. G. Kelly's on night game. Only one open. Chili vinegar, fork, spoon, and the green stuff. Good man. That sounds absolutely superb. In actual fact, where was it we went? My daughter and I went the other day. We went to Hoxton, and we went to Cook's, which was very nice. The pie and mash there is very nice. The decor's a little bit dated. It looks like the place looks like it could do with a little bit of a spruce up. but there's a certain charm, I think, about that. The produce was absolutely superb. So yeah, if you're near Oxton, give it a check out. My sister has pissed me off by sending me a picture of her eating it, and I know can't get it up here in Liverpool. Liquor, spoon, and fork. Good man. Well done. Well done. Right. Okay, guys, I'm going to knock it on the head. Please don't forget to like, comment on, and share this stream to your social media platforms. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't done so already, and make sure you hit the bell icon for alerts on new content. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you very much indeed for your support in this endeavor. I'm just going to have a quick look at this last little comment. No, you need the kidney for the flavor and then give it to the dog. Well, that is very generous of you, Mark. That is very generous. Of course, if you don't have a dog, then you're stuffed, really. I guess you've got to leave it out for the foxes. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining us. Come on, you Irons. And don't forget to join us about 9 o'clock tonight for our Arsenal review. Take care of yourself, guys, and don't forget to support Irons supporting food banks. The West Ham Massive are pleased to support Irons supporting food banks. They are a group of West Ham fans and friends inspired by the work of other football food banks around the country. They collect food and cash donations for a Newham Food Bank in Beckton, who supplies 7 distribution centres in the borough 7 days a week and hand out several hundred 3-day emergency food packs every month to families in need. They are also working with other groups to improve conditions for vulnerable adults and children in the Newham community. You can help by making a donation to their Just Giving page. You will find the link to this in the description section of the video details in this stream. Thanks for your support. Come on, you Irons.